So welcome back to our test piece here. If you haven't seen this before, I'll put a link up here where I show you how I apply texture to this in Blender and how we 3D print this. A lot of people have pointed out, well, why don't you put on the texture in Fusion? And well, first of all, I was not aware there was such a tool, but under Mesh, Modify, yeah, that's your problem. It doesn't even show up. You need to direct edit first, and to direct edit you first need to create a mesh. So let's jump right in. So you need to go to the mesh workspace, I think they call it, go to create, go to tessellate, and then select the body here and go to preview. And then you see this is how it would export this as a regular STL, or let's go to a high setting here. That's what it would do. But that's not enough for what we're gonna do with the mesh deformation here. So we need to, let's try 1 here. And this isn't even enough. Let's try 0.2. This should be good enough. Okay, and we've created a mesh body. Now we can go to modify, direct edit, select the body. Okay. Then we want to change the selection filter here from faces to face group. Then we can, well, it still has the paint thing here, but you just need to double click and then it'll select the face group here. That's why it has different colors. All these colors indicate different face groups that you can individually select. And well, now we've done one step and another, and we're in this selection tool. And now only can we go to modify, and suddenly this texture extrude feature appears. Now we have the selection already, and we need to select an image. We select insert from my computer, and I will select these dots that we used last time. Check out the video, I'll link it up here. Open, and you can see that here it already has checked repeat. And let's check preview. And well, you can see the problem here. And well, to be honest, it doesn't look half bad. It's kind of an interesting, well, it's not even a glitch, but it looks interesting, let's call it that. But of course, that's not really what we want. We could try to scale it down. Just select this corner and drag towards the inside of this square. And it's getting better and better until it gets worse. So if this is something you want, then this works. But of course, if you want these dots to look the same all the way around, you're out of luck, because it's not gonna wrap the texture around. It's just gonna project it from one side. And that's what we could do. Of course, we can just turn this 45 degrees. And then from this side, well, that doesn't look half bad, does it? But well, check out the other side, then you'll have the problem right here. So this feature only works for more like planar applications, not real 3D wrapping solutions. But well, let's see what we can do with the tool. And finish editing here. And it'll apply this to the mesh. And to check how this really looks, you can go to the render tab, and I would change the material. I don't know why the standard material is stainless steel. Hit A on your keyboard for appearance, or you can also select it from here, appearance. And I've already selected a few other materials here. You can find these, let me expand that. You can find these down here. There's concrete, fabric, glass, blah, blah, blah. Usually you'd want plastic, ABS, that's what that is. Just drag it in here, and then you just drag it onto that body, or you can drag it on top of the existing material and it'll replace that. And oh, I can also see that it bumped all of that out, and the dots stayed. So that's maybe the opposite of what we wanted. But I think this isn't working for a 3D wrapping application. What you could do is you split this in half and mirror and whatever, but I think it doesn't work for this case. But maybe let's try something different. Let me delete the whole mesh thing and let's edit this split thing here a bit. So we just have one side, and we'll see if that can be useful. Put the 5mm radius on there as well. Maybe that's, oop. Oh, didn't take that radius. Here we go. Doesn't need to look pretty, it's just a test. Oh, and then of course what happened, you need to re-choose that. That's a bit stupid. It should automatically do that. Well, but yeah, you have to select the line, so it's okay. It should give a warning that the line changed. But anyway, so let's try the whole thing again. We go to Mesh, go to Create, go to Tessellate, select the body, and let's set this to high already, and then set this to 0.2. And here we go. And now let's try this again with modify direct edit, select the body, okay. Select the selection filter face group, and then, well, it's still in this paint thing, but just double click and you'll get that face group. And I wonder if we can do two at the same time. We'll try that as a second thing here. Okay, now we're in this selection, mesh selection palette they call it. And now only can we use this texture extrude feature. I'll select the same image again. This will be available for download again. Let's hit the preview button. And well, from one planar side, it looks okay. So if that's your application, well, that's not too bad. And let's see here. Ah, okay, it's doing the wrong thing. There's a flip button here, where now we get the actual dots. And one actually nice feature is there's an offset and a blend distance here. So let me set this offset to 1 so you can see what's happening. It creates an offset here. And it still shows this stupid paintbrush thing. Let me at least change the size. Yeah, this offset here. And, ah shit, did I hit apply? I did. Okay, let's Control Z, modify, texture extrude. We'll select dots and lines again. Open that, hit preview. Once you hover over this corner, these little arrows appear and you can scale it up or scale it down by dragging diagonally. And maybe let's set this to 0.2. Maybe 0.3. Doesn't really matter, it's just a test. And what I was showing you before is this blend distance and offset. So the offset, let's set this to 2. Don't hit enter, hit nothing and wait for a second, or hit tab. So, and the blend distance is kind of a distance over which it blends the feature here. Let's try 3mm. Yeah, you can see it smoothly blends that, and maybe I'll delete the offset here because that doesn't really matter in this case. And of course you can also turn this to make it parallel to the top line, kind of. There's also, you can see here, there's ways of putting in numerical values for these angles, so you don't need to drag around with the mouse. But, well, this is something that can kind of work. And let's hit enter. And then you have to hit finish direct editing also. So, and then you're left with this mesh. But now this is fixed. You can't change anything here. You can't even change the dimensions on this ellipse or anything. What you can do is you can roll back and do all this again. Also, it will keep the basic mesh body. So you can always use that to give it another try, but it's not parametric editing anymore, which of course that's how this works. This is a mesh. Once you deformed it, it's deformed. This works better in Blender where it's a modifier and you only need to apply it in the end to actually create a mesh. Let me try to see if we can do both sides at once. I wanted to try this before. Let's do this now. Setting that back to visible again, and now we'll do the direct edit again. Select that. Select the body, yes. Oh, this is good. It's confusing. I find these steps a bit confusing. Let's start again here. Modify, direct edit. Then we select the body. Then we hit OK. Then we're in the mesh selection palette. Then we have to select the face group selection filter. And then we select that face group. And now we select the other one as well. That's what I wanted to. Well, can I only select one? No. Okay. You need to hit Shift to select two of these. And let's not go to. This is confusing. Finish direct editing. You want to click this, but you go up here, and then there's texture extrude. Can I pin this to my toolbar? Yeah. If you didn't know that, if you hover over a tool, these three dots will appear. If you click that, you can pin this to your toolbar. So we have the selection. No, we don't have that, do we? Oh, come on. Now it's not selected anymore. Okay. Go to face group again. Select one. Hold Shift. Select the other. Okay, here's our selection. Now we go to the texture extrude tool. If you haven't put that into your toolbar, it's under Modify, Texture Extrude. Two selected meshes here, and now we select the image, and I'll use the dots again. Hit Preview. And I'm wondering if they're both doing the same, or if this is doing the reverse. No, this is doing the same. Okay. That's actually nice. So you don't have to mess around with mirroring something. If you have an application for it, it can definitely be useful. Let's scale this a bit down. No, this could be any kind of handle on a hammer or whatever. This is just a test piece that could be anything, just to demonstrate. So yeah, this is the Fusion. What's it called? Oh, now of course it disappeared. Okay, let me direct edit. Select the body, okay, and then I keep forgetting what it's called. Texture extrude. And this basically only works two-dimensionally, not three-dimensionally, even though it creates three-dimensional geometry. But you see what I mean. It doesn't wrap around as I showed you with the first example. But this can be usable. Modeling this, possible, but annoying. So if you can use an image texture to generate this as a final step before 3D printing, and you don't want to go through the trouble of Blender, then this is definitely a tool worth checking out. And let me also 3D print this and see how this turns out. So here we're in the slicer, and well, I wouldn't select any crazy settings. The only thing I'll do is put the seam position on the back, and I'll slice this and see if this is already where the back is. Yeah, the back is wrong. So let's turn this 90 degrees so that the back is in the back. And I guess this is going to print nicely, because why not? And let me show you one feature that I discovered, and maybe you know this and think I'm stupid for not knowing it, but I think this works. This must work in Bamboo Studio and in Orca Slicer, and I assume in Prusa Slicer as well. Here's your filaments, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And once it's dragged in here, it'll select the first filament, but then usually I would go select the part, right click, go all the way down, change filament, and then change it. But I discovered you can just click on it and hit Control 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll apply the respective filaments. I didn't know that. If you knew that, good for you. Why didn't you tell us? That's a real, well, I don't want to really call it a time saver, but if you selected this down here and then right click and then it's all the way down here is change filament, it was a bit annoying. And it's one of the things, that's the first thing you do maybe once you put the part in here. Anyway, let's slice. I set this to 0.2 millimeters and we'll see how that looks. So, well, I think this actually looks pretty good. I mean, that was to be expected, but just to show you, this actually works rather nice for 3D printing. I'll link to the files down below and let me know how this works for you. This is a new feature and I hope they will improve it in the future. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Let me introduce you to Werk, the sponsor of today's video. Based in Copenhagen, Werk is a contemporary kitchenware company dedicated to developing honest and high-quality tools for everyday use. Follow the link in the description or go to werk.com and sign up for the newsletter to get 10% off your first order.